Before we begin, let's clear a belief that has quietly exhausted generations of people. That belief is simple, familiar, and deeply misleading. If I just work harder, everything will eventually work out. This idea has kept millions busy, tired, and confused, because hard work, by itself, has never been the path to wealth, and it never will be. Hard work is common. Wealth is rare. If hard work created riches, the world's wealthiest people would be farmers, factory workers, and laborers who give everything they have every single day. Instead, many of the hardest working people struggle their entire lives. This audiobook is not here to discourage effort. It is here to put effort where it actually works. Earl Nightingale taught that money is not a reward for effort. It is a reward for value. Value multiplied by direction, leverage, and time. When effort is misdirected, it produces exhaustion. When effort is aligned, it produces results that grow. Tonight, as you listen, let go of the pressure to try harder. Instead, allow your mind to relearn how wealth truly functions. Now we begin. Chapter 1. Hard work fails not because effort is useless, but because effort without direction is blind. Most people are taught to value activity over thought, movement over meaning. They are praised for being busy, not for being effective. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that struggle equals progress. Long hours become a badge of honor. Exhaustion becomes proof of commitment. But nature does not reward strain. It rewards alignment. Consider this. Two people can work equally hard, yet end up in completely different financial realities. One advances steadily. The other remains stuck. The difference is not effort. It is trajectory. Hard work applied in the wrong direction only takes you further away, faster. Earl Nightingale often emphasized that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Not motion, not sweat, direction. A man pushing a car uphill works harder than a man driving on the highway, but only one is moving efficiently toward a destination. Most people are pushing uphill without questioning the road. They work longer hours instead of asking better questions. They add effort instead of improving structure. They stay busy instead of becoming valuable. And because society praises visible effort, very few people stop to rethink the equation. But wealth follows a different law. Wealth responds to leverage, not labor. Leverage means your effort continues to produce results even when you are not actively working. Labor stops paying the moment you stop moving. Leverage keeps working while you rest, think, and grow. This is why working harder eventually hits a ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much energy in a body, only so much strain the nervous system can tolerate. Wealth begins where time dependency ends. Think of the difference between a person paid only for hours worked and a person paid for decisions made. The second may work fewer hours, yet their impact is greater. Their value is multiplied through systems, people, or capital. Hard work is necessary, but only at the beginning. After that, it must transform. Those who never make this transition remain trapped. They believe more effort is the answer to every problem. When income stalls, they add hours. When stress increases, they push harder. When results don't come, they blame themselves. But the issue was never effort. It was the model. Earl Nightingale warned that people become what they think about most of the time. And people who think only about working harder rarely think about building systems, improving leverage, or increasing value. Their thoughts are consumed by survival. Wealth requires space to think, and thinking requires stepping off the treadmill long enough to ask, is this work compounding or just consuming me? Most people never ask that question. As you listen tonight, allow this realization to settle gently. You are not failing because you haven't worked hard enough. You are tired because hard work was never meant to be the final strategy. This chapter is about releasing guilt. Releasing the idea that rest means laziness. Releasing the belief that struggle is noble. Effort is only powerful when it is placed where it multiplies. And once you understand this, your entire relationship with work begins to change. In the next chapter, we will explore why value, not effort, is what the world actually pays for, and how understanding this single shift changes income permanently. For now, let the body relax. Let the mind absorb that if working harder does not create wealth, then the question becomes unavoidable. What does? The answer is value, but not in the vague, motivational way it is often spoken about. Value is specific, measurable, and always relative. The marketplace does not reward effort. It rewards usefulness. Two people can expend the same energy, experience the same fatigue, and give the same amount of time, yet one is paid dramatically more. The difference is not fairness. It is value as perceived by others. Earl Nightingale explained that income is the result of how many people you serve and how well you serve them. This immediately shifts the focus away from self and toward contribution. Not contribution as sacrifice, but contribution as leverage. A person who digs holes all day may work incredibly hard, but the number of people they serve is limited. A person who designs a system, a process, or a solution that thousands can use serves more people with the same, or even less, effort. Value scales. Labor does not. This is why wealth always flows toward those who solve problems that are either widespread, urgent, or difficult to replace. Many people misunderstand this and believe that being busy automatically increases their value. It doesn't. Value increases when your thinking improves, when your skill sharpens, and when your output becomes more impactful. This is why education, real education, not credentials, matters deeply. Not formal schooling alone, but the continuous upgrading of how you think and what you can do. Consider the difference between someone who follows instructions and someone who improves the instructions. The first works hard. The second creates value. Consider someone who executes tasks and someone who designs processes. One is necessary. The other is rare. Rarity increases value. The world pays more for what is scarce, not for what is exhausting. This is why so many people feel stuck financially even while working tirelessly. They are improving their endurance instead of their usefulness. They are becoming better at effort instead of better at results. And effort without leverage eventually collapses under its own weight. Value also lives in judgment, the ability to make good decisions under uncertainty. This is why leaders, strategists, and investors are paid not for hours, but for clarity. One good decision can outperform years of physical labor. That decision did not come from luck. It came from thinking. Wealth favors those who think before they act. Another important truth is that value is contextual. A skill that is common in one environment may be rare in another. A problem ignored by most may be extremely valuable to solve for a specific group. This is why curiosity matters. People who ask better questions discover opportunities that others walk past. Earl Nightingale emphasized that success comes when a person decides upon a worthy goal and stays with it. The worthy goal is often a form of value creation, something that improves lives, simplifies complexity, or moves systems forward. Once you understand this, the idea of working harder begins to feel outdated. The better question becomes, how can I increase the value of what I do? How can I serve more people without multiplying effort? How can my work continue to produce even when I am not present? These questions shift you from labor to leverage. As this chapter settles in, allow the mind to release the belief that effort alone defines worth. Your value is not measured by exhaustion. It is measured by impact. When you focus on becoming more valuable, income rises naturally. Not instantly, but predictably. In the next chapter, we will explore how goals, direction, and self-image determine whether value compounds or stays trapped. For now, rest with this understanding. Hard work is energy spent. Value is energy multiplied. To understand why some people translate value into wealth, while others never do, you must look beyond effort and skill and into something far more subtle: self-image and direction. This is where most people quietly limit themselves without realizing it. Earl Nightingale taught that success begins with a goal, because a goal gives direction to energy. Without direction, even talent becomes scattered. Without direction, value leaks away into randomness. Many people work hard, develop skills, and even create value, but they do it without a clearly defined destination. As a result, their progress is accidental rather than intentional. Direction is what turns motion into movement. A person without a goal is like a ship without a compass. It may move constantly, but it will not arrive anywhere meaningful. And the more effort it applies, the more exhausted it becomes. But direction alone is not enough. Direction must be compatible with self-image. Self-image is the mental blueprint you hold of who you are and what you deserve. It quietly determines the ceiling of your results. No matter how much effort you apply, you will rarely outperform your self-image for long. This is why sudden success often disappears. When results rise above identity, behavior unconsciously pulls them back down. If someone sees themselves as a struggler, they will find ways to struggle, even in opportunity. If someone sees themselves as not a money person, they will sabotage financial growth, often through indecision, avoidance, or overwork. Wealth requires a self-image that allows abundance without guilt. Earl Nightingale often spoke about the importance of thinking like the person you want to become, not pretending, but aligning thoughts with outcomes. This alignment gradually reshapes behavior. People who build wealth do not wake up one day and decide to be rich. They begin by deciding to think differently about cause and effect, about time, and about responsibility. They stop seeing money as something that happens to them and start seeing it as something that responds to them. This internal shift changes how goals are set. Most people set vague goals. I want more money, or I want to be successful. These are wishes, not directions. The mind cannot act on them because they lack structure. A proper goal is specific enough to guide daily decisions. It becomes a filter. Opportunities that align with it feel obvious. Distractions lose their pull. Direction simplifies life. Another important idea is that goals should stretch identity without shattering it. If a goal feels completely unreal, the mind resists it. But if it feels slightly uncomfortable, yet possible, it invites growth. This is how self-image expands safely. Hard work without a goal builds fatigue. Hard work with a goal builds momentum. And momentum, once established, is powerful. This chapter also reveals why so many people stay busy but stagnant. They are moving, but they are not aiming. Their days are filled, but their direction is empty. When direction is absent, effort becomes self-punishing. As this chapter settles in, notice how your mind begins to relax around the idea that clarity is more important than intensity. That knowing where you are going matters more than how fast you're moving. In the next chapter, we will explore why time, not effort, is the true multiplier of wealth, and why impatience quietly destroys more fortunes than failure ever does. For now, rest with this truth. You do not need more force. You need more direction. To truly understand why working harder fails to create wealth, you must understand the role of time, not as something to fight against, but as the most powerful multiplier that exists. Most people misuse time because they are taught to chase quick results. Wealth, however, is built by those who respect long horizons. Earl Nightingale often emphasized that success is not sudden. It is the result of causes repeated consistently over time. Yet modern thinking conditions people to expect immediate payoff. When results do not appear quickly, they assume the strategy is wrong or that they are failing. Impatience is one of the greatest enemies of wealth. Hard work tends to feed impatience. When someone exerts great effort, they expect immediate reward. When it does not arrive, frustration builds. This frustration leads to poor decisions, abandonment of good strategies, or constant switching. Time only multiplies what is aligned. If effort is misdirected, time magnifies the mistake. If effort is aligned, time becomes an ally. This is why wealthy individuals think in terms of decades, not weeks. They choose paths that may grow slowly at first, but become unstoppable later. Consider compounding. Small, consistent improvements applied patiently eventually outperform dramatic bursts of effort that cannot be sustained. The tragedy is that compounding is invisible in the beginning. There is no excitement, no applause, only quiet consistency. Most people quit during this phase. They do not quit because it is hard. They quit because it feels unrewarding. But the absence of visible progress does not mean progress is not happening. It means the foundation is forming. Time also reveals the difference between activity and effectiveness. Someone can remain busy for years and see little change. Another can apply a small amount of effort in the right place and see exponential growth later. This is why wealth builders protect their patience fiercely. They do not panic when progress is slow. They understand the phase they are in. Earl Nightingale taught that we become what we think about most of the time. Those who think short-term sabotage long-term outcomes. Those who think long-term act with calm precision. Another subtle point is that time reduces emotional interference. When you commit to a long horizon, daily fluctuations matter less. Fear loses urgency. Doubt loses power. This emotional stability leads to better decisions. And better decisions compound faster than effort ever could. Hard workers often burn out because they demand too much from the present. Wealth builders allow the present to be modest, so the future can be extraordinary. As this chapter settles in, allow your nervous system to relax around the idea that you do not need immediate proof. You need consistency, clarity, and time. In the next chapter, we will explore why leverage, not effort, is what ultimately separates those who stay stuck from those who grow beyond their own labor. For now, let this truth sink in. Time is not your enemy. Impatience is. To fully understand why working harder will never make you rich, you must now confront the concept most people were never taught in school, never encouraged to study, and often discouraged from pursuing: leverage. This is the dividing line between effort-based income and wealth-based income. Leverage is the ability to produce results that are larger than the effort applied. Hard work is linear. Leverage is exponential. When you work harder, you trade time and energy for money. When you use leverage, you trade systems, ideas, or assets for results that continue long after the initial effort is complete. This is why two people can appear to be doing similar work, yet live in completely different financial realities. One is operating through labor. The other is operating through leverage. Earl Nightingale taught that the world rewards those who think, not merely those who toil. Thinking creates leverage. Labor consumes energy. Most people remain trapped in labor because labor feels honest, visible, and familiar. Leverage feels abstract, delayed, and uncertain. And uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. So they return to what they know: effort. But effort has limits. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much physical stamina, only so much mental focus. Leverage removes those limits. Leverage comes in several forms. One form is systems. A system is a structure that continues to function without constant input. Once built, it replaces repeated effort. A business process, a distribution channel, a workflow. These are all forms of leverage. Another form is capital. Money itself is leverage when it is placed wisely. It allows effort to be multiplied through investment rather than repeated through labor. Another form is people. When you teach, lead, or organize others effectively, your impact exceeds what you could ever produce alone. Another form is ideas. A well-formed idea can influence thousands, sometimes millions, with the same effort it takes to influence one. This is why thinkers, writers, speakers, and creators often outperform laborers financially, even if they appear to work less. The key is this: leverage requires front-loaded effort and delayed reward. And this is where most people fail. They are willing to work hard today, but not willing to build something today that pays later. They want effort and reward to be simultaneous. Wealth does not operate that way. Hard work pays now. Leverage pays later. Earl Nightingale warned that those who never learn to separate effort from income remain permanently dependent on their own energy. And energy declines with time. Leverage increases with time. This is why working harder eventually leads to exhaustion, while leverage leads to expansion. Another critical truth is that leverage requires thinking differently about responsibility. When you operate through leverage, you are responsible for design, not just execution. You must think ahead, anticipate outcomes, build intelligently. This is uncomfortable for those conditioned to simply do the work. But thinking is work, and thinking is where wealth is born. Many people avoid leverage because it exposes mistakes more clearly. When a system fails, it is obvious. When labor fails, it can be blamed on fatigue. Leverage demands clarity, but clarity is power. As this chapter settles in, notice how your perception of work begins to change. You may start asking different questions. How can this be repeated without me? How can this scale? How can this continue when I stop? These are wealth-building questions. This does not mean hard work disappears. It means hard work becomes strategic. It is applied to building assets instead of burning energy. The hardest work you will ever do is building leverage. The easiest income you will ever earn comes from maintaining it. In the next chapter, we will explore why most people resist leverage psychologically, and how fear, identity, and comfort keep them trapped in hard work even when better paths exist. For now, rest with this understanding. Hard work keeps you busy. Leverage sets you free. At this point, the reason most people never escape hard work becomes clear. Not because they lack opportunity, intelligence, or discipline, but because of something far deeper and quieter: psychological resistance. This chapter matters because even when people understand leverage, value, and time, they often still return to exhausting patterns. They return because hard work feels safe. Hard work is familiar. It provides structure. It gives immediate feedback. You work, you feel tired, and that tiredness becomes proof that you did something meaningful. The mind confuses effort with progress because effort is visible. Leverage, on the other hand, feels uncertain. It requires thinking instead of doing, waiting instead of rushing, trusting processes instead of controlling outcomes. For many people, this creates anxiety. Earl Nightingale understood this deeply. He taught that fear is the primary reason people fail to change their thinking. Not fear of failure, but fear of the unknown. Hard work reduces uncertainty. You know what will happen. You will be tired, and you'll be paid. Leverage introduces variables. It delays reward. It forces patience. And patience feels dangerous to a nervous system trained on survival. This is why people sabotage themselves right at the edge of change. They start a business, but retreat to long hours instead of building systems. They invest, but constantly interfere out of fear. They learn new skills, but never apply them strategically. Psychological resistance whispers, "At least this way, you know what to expect." Comfort is expensive. Another layer of resistance comes from identity. Many people define themselves as hard workers. It becomes their moral currency. To stop working hard feels like betrayal, not just of others, but of themselves. But wealth does not ask who works hardest. It asks who thinks clearest. Letting go of constant effort can feel like losing purpose. This is why rest creates guilt for so many people. They have learned to measure their worth by output, not by outcome. Earl Nightingale emphasized that success begins when a person decides to think. Thinking feels unproductive to those who equate movement with value. But thinking is where leverage is born. Another source of resistance is fear of responsibility. Leverage places outcomes closer to decision-making. When you design systems or invest capital, results are harder to blame on circumstances. This requires maturity. Hard work allows people to hide behind effort. Leverage exposes judgment, and judgment can be uncomfortable. This is why many people unconsciously choose exhaustion over accountability. This chapter invites you to notice, not judge, these patterns. Awareness weakens resistance. When you see why you cling to effort, you stop mistaking it for virtue. The mind begins to relax when it understands that safety does not come from effort alone. Safety comes from alignment, clarity, and adaptability. Night after night, listening to ideas like this gently retrains the nervous system. It learns that stillness does not equal danger. That patience does not equal loss. That thinking is not avoidance. Over time, you begin to tolerate uncertainty better, and tolerance of uncertainty is the gateway to wealth. Wealth is built by those who can stay calm while waiting, stay thoughtful while others rush, and stay consistent while others react emotionally. At this stage, the picture is becoming clear. Hard work alone is not the enemy, but unstructured effort is. To move beyond it, something must replace motivation, willpower, and emotional drive. That replacement is discipline, not as punishment, but as design. Discipline is often misunderstood. Most people imagine it as force, restriction, or denial. In reality, true discipline removes friction. It simplifies life. It creates freedom by reducing decision-making. Earl Nightingale taught that success is not the result of dramatic effort, but of intelligent habit. Habits are discipline made automatic. Hard workers rely on motivation. Wealth builders rely on systems. Motivation fluctuates. Discipline remains. This is why people who feel inspired one week and exhausted the next rarely build wealth. Their effort rises and falls with emotion. Their output is inconsistent. And inconsistency prevents compounding. Discipline creates rhythm. When rhythm exists, progress no longer depends on how you feel. You act because the structure exists, not because the mood is right. This chapter is long because discipline is not something you add to life. It is something you design life around. Discipline begins with environment. People overestimate willpower and underestimate surroundings. If your environment pulls you toward distraction, effort will always feel heavy. If your environment supports focus, effort feels lighter. Wealthy individuals are often not more disciplined internally. They're disciplined externally. They remove friction. They eliminate unnecessary decisions. They protect their attention. This is why routines matter. Routines free mental energy. They turn repeated actions into default behaviors. And default behaviors shape outcomes. Another critical aspect of discipline is delayed gratification. Hard workers want immediate payoff because their energy is being consumed. Disciplined individuals invest energy now for results later. This creates a widening gap over time. Earl Nightingale emphasized that discipline means doing what must be done long after the mood has passed. But what he truly meant was doing what aligns with your long-term vision, even when short-term emotions disagree. Discipline also prevents overreaction. Without it, people constantly adjust based on fear, excitement, or comparison. With it, they stay the course long enough for strategies to work. This steadiness is rare, and rarity increases value. Another important layer of discipline is knowing what not to do. Wealth is built as much by subtraction as by addition. Eliminating low-value activities creates space for high-leverage ones. Hard workers fill time. Disciplined thinkers protect it. This chapter also addresses the myth that discipline is exhausting. Poorly designed discipline is exhausting. Intelligent discipline conserves energy. When systems work, effort feels lighter. As you absorb this tonight, notice how the idea of discipline begins to feel less like pressure and more like relief. Less like control and more like clarity. Because discipline done right removes chaos. And chaos is expensive. In the next chapter, we will explore how consistency over long periods turns discipline into inevitability, and why most people quit just before the results become visible. For now, rest with this truth. Motivation fades. Discipline compounds. This chapter exists because even discipline, leverage, and intelligence will fail without one final ingredient. Consistency over long periods of time. Not intensity, not perfection, time-bound consistency. This is where nearly everyone drops out. Most people are not defeated by difficulty. They're defeated by duration. They can commit for a week. They can push for a month. They can even stay focused for a year. But wealth does not form on short timelines. It forms quietly, invisibly, while consistency outlasts doubt. Earl Nightingale often spoke about the miracle of compounding, not just in money, but in behavior, thinking, and reputation. Compounding only works when actions are repeated long enough for momentum to take over. And momentum always arrives late. This is why most people quit just before things begin to work. They interpret the lack of visible reward as failure. They confuse silence with stagnation. They mistake boredom for meaninglessness. But boredom is not a signal to stop. Boredom is a signal that foundations are being laid. Hard workers struggle here because they expect constant feedback. Their effort has always produced immediate fatigue, which felt like proof. But leverage-based work does not provide emotional reinforcement early on. There is no applause while systems are forming. No validation while habits stabilize. No excitement while processes mature. Consistency requires faith, not blind faith, but rational patience. Faith in cause and effect. Earl Nightingale emphasized that the law always works. The seed does not question whether it will grow. It simply remains in the soil long enough. People, however, dig up their seeds daily to check for progress. Every time you abandon a direction too early, you reset the clock. This is why many intelligent, capable people remain stuck. Not because they chose the wrong path, but because they never stayed on any path long enough. Consistency also neutralizes fear. Fear feeds on uncertainty. When actions are repeated consistently, uncertainty decreases. The mind begins to trust the process. Emotional swings soften. Decision-making stabilizes. This emotional stability is rare and extremely valuable. Another truth most people miss is that consistency does not require constant effort. It requires return. Missing a day is irrelevant. Missing a week is recoverable. Quitting is what breaks momentum. Wealth builders return without drama. They do not negotiate with excuses. They do not punish themselves for pauses. They resume. This ability to resume calmly is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Hard workers burn out because they believe consistency means intensity. It does not. It means sustainability. You must build systems that you can maintain even when energy is low, motivation is absent, and life is demanding. Consistency is not heroic. It is quiet, unimpressive, relentless. And because it is unglamorous, very few people master it. Another layer of consistency is emotional consistency. Wealth builders do not allow temporary results to rewrite long-term strategy. They do not chase highs or flee lows. They remain anchored. This anchoring creates predictability. Predictability attracts opportunity. Opportunity accelerates growth. Over time, consistency compounds identity. You stop trying to be disciplined. You simply are. You stop forcing patience. It becomes natural. You stop fearing time. You partner with it. This is when wealth begins to feel inevitable. Not exciting, not dramatic, but steady. As this chapter settles into your mind, allow yourself to release urgency. You are not racing anyone. You are not behind. You are building something that requires duration. And duration rewards those who stay. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together. Why inevitability is not luck, not talent, not effort, but alignment sustained long enough to become unstoppable. For now, rest with this truth. Consistency is not about doing more. It is about stopping less. To understand why working harder keeps so many people financially stuck, we must go deeper than effort, strategy, or even discipline. We must look at the invisible rules people live by. The mental conditioning that quietly dictates how much success feels safe, familiar, and acceptable. This chapter is about conditioning. From the moment most people are young, they are trained to trade time for security. Do what you're told. Show up on time. Work hard. Don't question the system. If you struggle, work harder. If you fail, blame yourself. This conditioning runs deep. It shapes not only behavior, but identity. Hard work becomes moral. Rest becomes guilt. Ease becomes suspicious. So even when people intellectually understand leverage, systems, and value, their nervous system resists letting go of effort. Because effort feels like control, and control feels like safety. Earl Nightingale understood that people do not fail because they are incapable, but because they are operating under outdated assumptions. One of the most damaging assumptions is this: my effort determines my worth. When effort equals worth, stopping feels dangerous. This is why people overwork even when it no longer helps. This is why they stay busy instead of strategic. This is why they exhaust themselves rather than redesign their approach. Hard work becomes a shield against uncertainty, but wealth lives inside uncertainty. Every leap in income, responsibility, or scale requires stepping into something unfamiliar. Systems must be trusted before they prove themselves. Investments must sit quietly before they grow. Ideas must mature before they pay. Conditioned minds panic here. They retreat to what they know: visible effort. Another powerful force at play is fear of judgment. Society praises hustle. People are admired for grinding, sacrificing, and suffering. But thinking quietly, building slowly, and waiting patiently are rarely applauded. So many people perform hard work publicly while neglecting leverage privately. They want to look productive more than they want to be effective. This performance keeps them trapped. Earl Nightingale taught that success requires thinking differently from the crowd. But thinking differently means being misunderstood for a time. And most people would rather be exhausted than misunderstood. This is why psychological safety matters so much in wealth building. You must feel safe enough internally to tolerate delay, uncertainty, and silence. Without that safety, you will sabotage long-term plans in exchange for short-term reassurance. Another conditioning pattern is scarcity thinking. When people believe opportunity is limited, they cling to effort because effort feels controllable. They fear letting go because they believe nothing will replace it. But scarcity thinking blinds people to leverage. It keeps them focused on survival instead of expansion. Wealth requires abundance thinking, not fantasy, but realism. The recognition that value can be created, multiplied, and distributed in ways effort alone never could. Earl Nightingale often emphasized that people become what they think about most of the time. People who constantly think about working harder rarely think about building smarter. Their mind is occupied with endurance, not design. This chapter invites you to notice where your own conditioning shows up, where you equate struggle with progress, where you feel uneasy when things become too smooth, where rest triggers guilt instead of recovery. Awareness dissolves conditioning. Once you see these patterns, you stop obeying them automatically. Hard work still has a place, but it becomes intentional, not compulsive. It becomes a tool, not a reflex. As this chapter settles in, allow yourself to accept a powerful truth. You do not need to suffer to deserve success. You do not need to exhaust yourself to justify growth. You do not need to struggle to prove your value. Wealth grows best in minds that are calm, clear, and unafraid of stillness. In the next chapter, we will explore how replacing emotional effort with structured discipline creates freedom instead of pressure, and why discipline, when designed correctly, feels lighter than hustle ever did. For now, rest with this understanding. Hard work is familiar. Freedom requires rewiring. This final chapter brings everything together and answers the question that sits quietly beneath all the others. If working harder doesn't make you rich, then what does? The answer is not a single action, habit, or strategy. It is a way of thinking sustained long enough to change behavior, decisions, and ultimately outcomes. Wealth is not created by force. It is created by alignment. When your thinking, your habits, your time horizon, and your sense of self are aligned with how money actually works, results stop feeling random. They become predictable. Not instant, but inevitable. Most people never reach this point because they spend their lives reacting to bills, reacting to pressure, reacting to comparison. Reaction keeps the mind in survival mode, and survival mode only understands effort. Earl Nightingale taught that people drift into failure, but plan into success. Planning requires calm. Calm requires understanding. Understanding requires stepping off the treadmill long enough to see the whole picture. This audiobook has been guiding you off that treadmill. You've seen that effort without direction exhausts you. That value, not labor, is what the marketplace rewards. That goals give energy direction. That time multiplies what is aligned. That leverage frees you from dependence on your own hours. That conditioning keeps people trapped in hard work. That discipline replaces motivation. That consistency turns alignment into momentum. When these principles operate together, something profound happens. Urgency disappears. And when urgency disappears, intelligence returns. Decisions improve. Fear softens. Patience strengthens. Confidence stabilizes. This is why wealthy individuals often appear calm, even during uncertainty. They're not immune to risk. They're anchored in process. They know that short-term fluctuations do not matter when long-term alignment is intact. Another truth this chapter reveals is that wealth is rarely a dramatic moment. It is a gradual shift, a quiet realization that you're no longer trapped, that your income is no longer tied directly to your exhaustion, that your time is no longer constantly under attack. This shift feels anticlimactic, but it is life-changing. Most people miss it because they are waiting for excitement. Wealth arrives as stability. Earl Nightingale emphasized that success is peace of mind earned by self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best you are capable of becoming. Not by working yourself into the ground, but by thinking clearly and acting intentionally. This final chapter is an invitation to stop measuring progress by effort and start measuring it by alignment. Ask yourself, is my work compounding? Is my effort leveraged? Is my time horizon long enough? Is my thinking clear? When the answers become yes more often than no, wealth begins to form. Not magically, not instantly, but reliably. As this audiobook comes to its end, understand this. You were never meant to struggle endlessly. You were meant to learn, adapt, and design your life intelligently. Hard work will always have a place, but it is no longer the driver. It becomes a servant to strategy. And when strategy leads, wealth follows. Let this final truth settle deeply as you rest. You do not get rich by working harder. You get rich by thinking better and staying aligned long enough for it to work. The work is quieter now. The pressure is gone. The path is clear. And from here forward, effort finally works in your favor. As this audiobook comes to an end, take a moment to sit with what has truly been shared here. Not motivation, not hustle, not empty promises, but understanding. And understanding is the beginning of freedom. For many people, this may be the first time hard work has been questioned, not criticized, but repositioned. You were never wrong for working hard. You were simply taught an incomplete equation. Effort was emphasized, while direction, leverage, and time were left out. Now you see the full picture. You have learned that wealth does not respond to exhaustion, but to alignment. That value matters more than hours. That thinking is not laziness, but leverage. That patience is not weakness, but strategy. And that consistency, applied calmly over time, turns effort into inevitability. These ideas are not meant to overwhelm you. They're meant to relieve you. Relief from guilt. Relief from urgency. Relief from the belief that struggle is required. Earl Nightingale often reminded people that success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become. This audiobook was not about changing your circumstances overnight. It was about changing the lens through which you see them. From this point forward, you no longer need to push blindly. You can pause, think, design, and then act with intention. You can work without being consumed by work. You can build without burning yourself out. There will still be effort, but it will be smarter. There will still be challenges, but they will feel navigable. There will still be waiting, but it will feel purposeful. And when doubt returns, as it always does, you now know what to return to: clarity, patience, and alignment. If you listen to this audiobook again, let it be a reminder, not a demand. A reminder that wealth is not created by force, but by understanding sustained over time. Nothing here requires perfection. Nothing here requires urgency. Only awareness and the willingness to think differently. Rest now with this final truth. You were never meant to work yourself into wealth. You were meant to grow into it. And that process has already begun.